everyone. Welcome to your latest Carson's Take 5 with Ryan and Sonu. Tariffs, Sonu. It's a big word, one we're going to spend a little time on this week in the latest Take 5 video. How much should we worry about tariffs is what we're going to talk about. But I am coming to you from the great state of Texas, Dallas. It's upper 60s or so, still warmer than where I live. So
better than Chicago.
It's good to see the world.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said better than Chicago. It's like 30 degrees here, and I think there's a weather alert literally right now.
Ooh, gotta be careful for the weather alert, but it's all good here. So, listen, we understand. Saturday, these we'll talk about, but the tariffs come in play, and then futures drop Sunday night. The stock market opens Monday morning, Sonu. Red across globally, very big worries. Then there were some concessions. Now maybe they're going to punt the kick the can, so to speak. How much should what's happened? Again, we're recording this Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. What in 90 seconds? Like, what's all going on? Like, what's going on here with these tariffs?
Just to back up really quick, back to Saturday. I mean, President Trump, the White House announced tariffs, significant tariffs, 25% tariffs on all Mexican goods, all Canadian goods, except for energy-related goods, which is just 10%. Remember, Canada exports a lot of energy to the United States, especially for our refineries and things like that. And despite the U.S. being a large producer of oil, we need a lot of oil from Canada and even Mexico for that matter for our refineries, right? And then 10% across the board tariffs on China. One thing we know for certain, the market does not like tariffs, right? Plain and simple. How much, they don't like it is always hard to gauge because there's always some probability that, will they actually do it or will they not? The tariffs are supposed to go into effect at 12:01 a.m., soon after midnight on Tuesday. And most of them didn't, right? President Trump came to a compromise or temporary compromise, I should say, on security issues the U.S. has with border security, I should say, with both Mexico and Canada. And they decided, we'll continue to do, what we were doing and step up a little bit more enforcement on the border for drug-related issues, immigration, things like that. And so the tariffs were paused for 30 days, right? The ones that weren't paused was China. The tariffs on China, 10% across the board tariffs on China on all their goods. That's still in place. That went into effect on Tuesday. The Chinese retaliated. Again, not significantly, which kind of tells me that they are also in a mood to negotiate. Of course, Mexico and Canada, I should say, are really reliant on U.S. goods and U.S. exporting to the United States, which is why they came to the table a lot faster. So in a nutshell, that's what happened.
Exactly. I've seen different numbers, but this is ballpark. Mexico, out of all their exports, about 81 to 82% of everything goes to the U.S. Canada is about 77%. So clearly, this was a big deal there. I guess I'll put it like this. There's a lot of uncertainty around these tariffs. It can change. I believe we say it's fluid. It's a fluid situation. It can change in a hurry. We have had tariffs in our country for a couple hundred years, right? We've had a lot of tariffs since 2018. What President Trump at least proposed, a 25% on Canada, Mexico, another 10% on China, would have been unlike anything we saw back in 2018. I mean, you're talking, these are some significant.
About 5 times as large as those, yes.
Largest, yeah. But I guess what got us in the dance was record profits, strong profit margins, relatively dovish Fed. We still think that's in play. A strong consumer, a strong labor market. We're not minimizing the impact of tariffs because it's out there. But again, what got us to the dance is a strong economy. And fortunately, we do still have that. I mean, so there's so many ways this can go. And who knows, maybe by Friday when people listen to this will be old news. But listen, there's a lot of other countries. There's Europe. There's different parts of Asia. Everyone knows. I mean, South America. There's lots of places. We had some Colombia stuff just go on a couple weeks ago. Is this going to get bigger? Is this going to? What do you think on that front?
Oh, I don't know if it gets bigger. It's not over by any stretch, right? Like for one thing, these tariffs are also just it's a temporary pause, right? A lot needs to get done to get a deal. I mean, there have to be verification mechanisms for any deal they come with. Are you actually buying what we want you to buy? What you promised us you'll buy? Or can we sell, what we want to sell to you? Things like that, right? All of that has to be verified. And then the other thing, it's hard to quantify exactly, it'll have X dollars or X% impact on inflation. or the economy or even markets for that matter. One thing to watch is, as you mentioned, we expect the Federal Reserve to cut rates, continue cutting rates into 2025. We think inflation will fall. And that's still our base case. But the Fed they've already told us back in December and again in January last week at their meeting, Powell said they are worried. They paused on interest rate cuts. Why? Because they're worried about the administration's policies, including tariffs, immigration, fiscal policy, deficit spending, all of that, right? So the worry is the more we kick the can down the road, does the Fed sit back and pause for an extended period? Because that raises the risk. Maybe something breaks. I think for now, again, that's not our base case. We think they will cut maybe June, if not September. But I think the worry is, what if they don't cut at all in 2025 if there's a lot more uncertainty? I think that's the angle I think I would look at, as opposed to saying, oh, tariffs are going to increase inflation by, how many ever percent or not.
Well said. And if that were to happen, that might upset our overall bullish thesis, but we're not there. Let's be very clear, we're not there. Maybe let's put it like this. Again, what do we know, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. We know in 2018, 2019, when the trade war with China started, we saw pockets of things cost more, but overall inflation really didn't move that much. There's just a ton of uncertainty here. The good news, if there's any good news, is we're going to continue to follow this every single day, every single week. As this continues, and like Sonu, you just pointed out, we're far from over with this. We hope some calmer heads prevail and we kind of find some common ground with some of our trading partners around the globe. But the reality is it's not going away. President Trump ran on this. I think the market was surprised in 2018 when this first started. I don't think we were as surprised this time because, again, 48 hours later after all this stuff started, stock market's doing really well as of Wednesday afternoon. I know it can change, but again, it's important to kind of remember that. So with all that, everyone, tariffs are a big deal. Tariffs matter. How much? Maybe stay tuned. But what got us here, this bull market is still in play, and we still have a strong economy. So let's focus on that. Every year is going to have scary headlines. Every year is going to have a couple bad days. We've had some scary headlines and bad days already this year. Hey, it means 2025 is just like every other year throughout history with some bad days and some scary headlines. But we still think overall the opportunities and strengths outweigh the threats and the weaknesses. With all that, this is the latest Carson's Take 5. We'll see everybody next week where I hope we don't talk about tariffs. We'll see you then. Take care.